Support Pause and Support Gear, Part 10. Series by Sunset Cougar. Now, before we get into the chapter, I want to go over a couple of things real quick. The first is that this is the new chapter that just came out today, and it is the only chapter that is available for me to voice, so I'm releasing this as a surprise extra chapter for now, and when more content is available for the story, it will be updated further. But that also means that tomorrow's episode will be the 1C Deku episode, and I might even record more. We'll have to see how I'm feeling. But having said that, if you enjoy the story, please and the voices, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing down below. We're almost to the 500 subscriber mark. It's a big milestone. We'll be able to do like the memberships and stuff like that. And what I'm thinking of doing for memberships is giving access to videos early, because I'm starting to have a backlog set up so videos can consistently come out. So that's kind of what I'm thinking for that. Let me know if you guys have any other suggestions or things you might be interested in doing for a membership or stuff like that on the channel. But with that all being said, let's go ahead and get into the chapter. Chapter 21, Preparations. So, the sports festival is fast approaching. How are we going to approach it? Izuku asked, leaning back in his chair. I plan to get the 1-versus-1 rounds, and then show up before dropping out, May replied from her spot sprawled on her bed, her rumpled up gear print blanket being used as a makeshift pillow, despite her actual pillow being right next to her. Izuku nodded thoughtfully. A good plan, but may I suggest an alteration? You may. Instead of dropping out, when? Think about it. You've seen the hero students this year. They're insanely powerful. Imagine how much attention it would get us if you won and beat all of them. May's eyes were sparkling as she listened. Izu, you are a genius. He grinned. Thank you. And what if we figure out a way for you to participate too? Then we can both win, and everyone will know our names. Izuku considered that. He hadn't actually been planning on physically participating in the festival. Not sure how he'd be able to. But physically disabled people were athletes. The Paralympics had been a thing for a reason. So why couldn't he figure out a way to participate in the festival? I think that's a good idea. I'll have to be clever about my support gear, but I can do it. I believe in you, May cheered, pumping her fist in the air. Izuku grinned, and they both fell into their thoughts. Ideas and plans began formulating in Izuku's mind. Bakugo would most definitely be gunning for the top, and with his attitude, it might do him some good to be knocked down a few pegs. Izuku and May winning would get their other support course students a lot of attention by proxy. But how much more recognition would they get if not a single hero student stood on the podium? Izuku walked to the front of the classroom and whistled loudly. His classmates looked up from their projects, curious, and even Power Loader turned to pay attention. The weight of all their eyes on him was heavy, and made him want to crawl into a hole and hide. But he took a deep breath to steady himself and started talking. Usually, the support courses don't really do much in the sports festival. They like to save their inventions for the school festival, but I think that this lack of care towards the sports festival is a waste of potential. Everyone always expects the hero course students to dominate it.
with maybe a lucky gen ed student using it to get into the hero course. Because that's been the pattern since it was created. But if we all put our heads together to break that pattern and win the festival, we would have millions of eyes from all over the world focused on us and our inventions.
Izuku's heart was racing from nerves as his classmates looked at each other, considering. Clover nuzzled his leg and he stroked her head, calming himself. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, his classmates turned back to him.
I think it's an amazing idea,
Okita told him, wings fluttering a bit.
You have my full support.
The rest of the class added their agreement and support, and Izuku beamed at them.
Then let's start brainstorming. So, my main challenge is my paralysis,
Izuku said as he tapped the whiteboard marker against his chin.
I need to come up with something to aid my mobility on the field.
Clover just stumped her tail from her spot on his bed, not understanding a word that was coming out of his mouth. Izuku looked over the multiple pictures attached to the whiteboard with magnets. All of them various sports gear and most from the Paralympics.
Maybe some form of modified bobsled? One with wheels that I could steer and give offensive capabilities. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Izuku had an idea to get an extra spotlight on him before the sports festival even started. He could get attention within the student body, but in order to do that, he had to make a deal with the business student, which was why he was currently outside of the 1J dorms. He knocked on the door and took a step back. The student who opened the door had light brown skin, rose-red eyes, and burnt orange hair and a wolf cut. Z were a couple of inches taller than Izuku and leaned on the door frame. What do you want?
I have a business proposal,
Izuku said. The student immediately looked interested.
Let's talk out back. One of my classmates is very allergic to dogs. Alright, I'm Midoriya Izuku, from Class 1H. Juba Tomi. Z-Zem pronouns, please.
The student introduced as Z led Izuku around a picnic table behind the dorm building.
He, him for me,
Izuku stated, sitting down. He let out a small sigh as he did, glad to give his aching body a break.
So, what's this proposal of yours?
Juba asked.
With the sports festival coming up, everyone is scrambling to get the upper hand,
Izuku explained.
I do quirk analysis, and I was wondering how much you think I could make from analyzing a competitor's quirks for their opponents. Well, it depends how good you are,
Juba said.
Do you have an example I could see? I do. This is my analysis on the quirk of Shinso Hitoshi from Class 1A.
Juba took the offered folder and quickly skimmed through it, eyebrows steadily creeping higher. When Z was done, Z closed the folder and grinned at Izuku.
This right here is top tier. But considering this is your first time doing this, and no one knows what to expect from you, I'd keep your prices on the lower end. Maybe about 1,000 or 2,000 yen. That sounds good,
Izuku agreed.
The question now is how I advertise this. Give me 10% cut of the profit and I'll take care of it,
Juba said.
Do you want my phone number? Please.
The two exchanged phone numbers and Juba held out Z's hand for Izuku to shake. Izuku shook it and Juba grinned.
I'll get the contract written up within 2 to 4 business days. Sounds good to me. I want you to train me in hand-to-hand combat.
Mei told Hitoshi during lunch.
I plan to be one of the sports festival winners, so I need to know how to fight.
Alright, Hitoshi agreed easily. He gave her a grin. But I'm not going to go easy on you.
I don't want you to.
Good. Meet me in Gym Alpha after school, and we can start training.
I'll see you then.
Hitoshi sat in Gym Alpha, which was where all the equipment was, doing some homework as he waited for Mei.
I have arrived,
Mei announced loudly as she practically slammed open the door. She was wearing a tank top and leggings, which had both been on the list Hitoshi had sent her of good workout gear. He himself was dressed similarly. Welcome. So, to start off, we're going to stretch so we don't pull any muscles, Hitoshi told her, standing up and going over to the mats. Mei followed, and he led her through a basic stretching routine. His back and joints popped as he did so, evidence of the fact he'd spent most of the night curled up oddly in his chair. After they'd stretched, he started with the very basics: blocking, dodging, and a basic punch. Mei was a natural and picked it all up easily.
Can someone please help me try these on?
Nakano asked the room at large. I can, Bjorn volunteered, getting up from his station. He was drawing out blueprints for a set of armor he wanted to forge for himself.
Thank you. I need you to put these on me once I shift so I can make sure they fit right.
Nakano gestured at a large set of metal antlers sitting on his desk. Bjorn nodded and Nakano got up, backing away from everyone and kneeling down to put his hands on the floor. His whole body shuddered and started growing, and a moment later he had taken the form of a moose. Bjorn picked up the metal antlers and fit them over the stubs on Nakano's head. The straps for the antlers fit much like the bridle on a horse, securing them in place. Nakano carefully swung his head back and forth once Bjorn had moved out of the way, testing how secure they were. You know, Bjorn mused, I believe I could forge your armor, much like the set I'm going to make for myself. Nakano quickly lowered his head to the floor and shifted back to human, wrestling the straps off.
That sounds wicked awesome. Where did you find a forge?
There's one outside, Bjorn replied. No one uses it besides me, which means I don't have to share. Want to come see after class?
Yes, definitely. Bjorn grinned.
I can start sketching out armor designs for you if you want.
Nakano nodded his head eagerly.
Please do.
Ren felt like he should be less surprised that UA had a fully functioning forge. This was the school who used building-sized robots in their entrance exams, and had multiple city-sized training grounds. A forge was basically nothing compared to that. He was sitting on a chair in the corner of the forge's building, watching as Toft got a fire going. The whole building smelled of smoke, metal, and sweat, and he knew he would have to take a long shower later to get the smell out of his clothes.
So, where did you learn to metalwork?
Ren asked.
My mother taught me,
Toft replied, a fond expression on his face.
I've been watching her work metal for as long as I can remember. She used to hang my carrier off the wall on the far side of the room while she worked.
Was that safe? Ren asked. Toft shrugged.
I never got hurt. My first injury happened after I learned to walk. I burned myself on a piece of hot metal.
He said it in a way that implied it was a fond memory, and not a bad one. Looking at him, Ring could see a lot of burn scars scattered across the exposed skin on his hands and arms.
Sounds like you had an interesting childhood.
It was good. My parents taught me a lot.
Deeming the fire hot enough, Toft went to get the first piece of metal.
Now, watch and learn.
Alrighty. That's the end of the chapter, y'all. I am absolutely loving the development for each of the characters and the fact that they're actually going to try to win. Like, that adds a lot more to the sports festival, and I'm looking forward to that. I'm really looking forward to seeing Bakugo get his shit kicked in. But, thank you guys so much for coming and listening along. Like I said, I will also be recording a chapter that will go live at 12 p.m. CST tomorrow for the 1C Deku series. So look forward to that. And if you enjoyed the video, please consider liking, commenting down below. It really does help the algorithms. And with all that being said, I look forward to seeing you next time. Ciao for now, lovelies.